Okay. I'll do my best. All right, so welcome to the April 17th hybrid meeting of the Needham Human Rights Committee. So I'll take a quick attendance. Right, so we'll do, so we know who's not here, so I'll go with Bud
Here.
Marlene.
Yeah, I don't think he actually did that. He just writes them down.
Oh, that's right, we talked about this.
You're good.
Come on, well, why not?
It's fine, I'm here.
Or people can write in,
Yeah.
because sometimes we forget people.
People's names.
Yeah, well,
No,
I'll do the
you don't
people that are
forget.
here, that'll be easier.
Yeah.
Greg,
Yeah, here.
Lulu,
Yeah.
Cynthia,
Here.
Marie,
Yeah.
Keith is here. Bud,
Okay.
yeah, that's right, yeah, Albert Bud.
So.
Yeah, you used to sing Albert, oh, yeah.
The email says,
I saw you on the.
That's right.
You haven't met Marie?
Nice to
Because
meet
you've
you.
been for a few meetings, right?
Yes.
but sometimes.
I was on Zoom.
One time
and she
I was on Zoom.
Right,
So you haven't met.
right, we
person.
haven't face to face.
Yeah.
All right, and everybody
Is there anybody
else is
online,
absent,
or-
so-
And this is Taylor.
You do
Yes,
not
it's
have
Taylor's
anyone
here.
online.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I see that there's nobody here from public comment, but I just want to get something quickly on the record, because we had some questions about the difference between public comment and public hearing, so I thought, the brief reminder, so we have a portion of the meeting every time we have a meeting that, is for the public to make comments, on matters within the committee's jurisdiction. Committee members will be listening but not able to respond or engage in dialogue during this time. It's not a forum for discussion. In contrast, a public hearing, which is structured differently, allows for two-way exchange. I don't think the Human Rights Committee has public hearings.
We would have to make some kind of request to be able to do
Right.
We haven't had that.
That makes, okay, so looks like there's anyone online.
But
to
we
know?
actually, when we had public comment, we have asked questions of the person to clarify things.
Right,
So that means we're not supposed to?
I think it's supposed to be a one-way. So we are supposed to listen to public comments but not actually interact. That's,
What if the public asks a question?
it's a great question, but that's not
That doesn't make a lot of, I mean, I understand not taking action.
Yeah.
When they're, but for clarification?
I mean, I suppose as a point of order, you could probably.
An information
An
question.
Yeah,
informational,
yeah.
but I think the idea is that it's not really a time to debate or to get into issues. It's supposed to be
Yeah.
for the.
Well, the
to
other
make
thing that
comments
we
on the
have
record.
done, in the past, there's maybe someone's come for public comment in person,
Yeah.
and then they have left and we've gone into executive session to discuss it, because that way it's not,
Right, part of the public
yeah,
record,
and
yeah,
yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, but I can see.
Does that violate the public meeting law?
No,
not
no,
anymore.
no, you're allowed to go
executive
into executive session.
Right, exactly.
But you have to intentionally do it and not suddenly say, oh.
No, well, you say, I think we should, someone has to move,
Yeah.
you have to vote on it, to
That
go
makes
into,
sense.
and then you have to vote to come out of it.
I can see how questions will get tricky because various people who attended say their point of view and then they say, why didn't you change your statement to include what I said last month? So it
I think,
can
yeah,
very easily,
I think it's supposed to be as one way as possible. I think that's my understanding of it.
Taylor,
So,
you're our helper with this.
No, you got it. It
Yeah.
is meant to be sort of one way. You are listening and you, the chair, can choose to respond or
Oh,
keep it moving.
Oh,
we
okay,
can
we'll add
choose.
that caveat then. Great, I'll leave, I'll put it on the chair.
Typically- Yeah, typically
Yeah.
you would
Yeah.
just listen.
Okay, that
Because
sounds
then you
good.
kind of have, you get in a pattern of response.
Well, that's
to
exactly right,
everyone.
yes, which is not easy to not respond when people are, you know,
Like
telling you
saying,
something
yeah.
important that they want to tell you, but I think that's a different kind of discussion, so. All right, so, nobody for public comment, we can move to, first item on the agenda for March minutes approval, which I think we all
That
received,
that was get from our.
we got, I think, an edit from Cynthia. Has
And
everybody had a
that,
chance to-
Bud said he was there by phone.
Yeah, and, yeah.
Yeah.
And she said I can be added as having been present as opposed to not be there.
So I might be able to go over them quickly before the meeting here, because I saw them late, but I welcome a motion to approve the minutes for March.
I moved.
Well,
We
second,
okay with you?
Okay, all those in favor?
all right.
Okay, approved. Moving down. All right, so next we have just a brief update about the statement on diversity, equity, inclusion. Can't remember if that's exactly what we're calling it, but we have received some good feedback about it, which was nice. I think that's all I heard was mostly positive comments. And I'm not sure it's gonna be Carrie and I, but I at least will be presenting the statement at the May 13th select board meeting.
Oh,
We
great.
were offered to go next week, but I won't be around and Carrie won't be around, so we thought.
So
we should
not a
push it
good
to May 13th. Yeah, May 13th is the date. I think that's what we said on the.
Oh, is that
agenda.
also the day that they're talking about Envision?
Oh.
That's gonna be a hot meeting.
I think that's a separate time. It's like.
Is
a
it? I thought it
hearing.
was at the select board meeting. Is it?
I'm not sure what
I
the
think
agenda
May
is.
1st is the,
It just came out.
Well, they're two different things. I know Heidi just wrote
yeah, I
a
saw
letter
that.
today.
Oh,
yeah.
I can,
And it doesn't, it's fine, I'm just.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Yeah,
if-
it's
if
I think it was
That's
on-
on the agenda, maybe you can ask if you can like go first.
yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I can't remember if they were gonna discuss it at May 13th.
Yeah, because it's now a really
It
hot,
is.
hot issue in
Yeah.
town.
oh, I opened it up here on Tuesday, May 13th
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that-
at 6:30.
You should try to go first.
So, no, 6:30 is before the actual meeting.
Oh, what time is the actual?
I mean,
select
they
board meeting?
often have things like at 6:30, don't they, Taylor? That they.
I thought that's when
like
their meeting
hearings and
started.
so forth. Well, it starts, but I mean,
I
the
have my
business
phone,
part
so
usually.
Yeah, it's hard when you know.
I totally walked out of my house without my phone, which is very strange.
That's a great point, if that is that day.
Yeah, if you want to see it. This
So he's
was,
just looking to see what time.
Yeah, I mean, it says 6 PM.
for years.
Well, for the typical select board meetings at least, but maybe they're making some kind of an adjustment.
But that
So,
doesn't tell you where you are.
no, exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I'll follow up with the select board to see if that's still possible, because I know they're expecting lots of people.
Yeah.
Though I'm not sure what, they also have a public hearing too, I think.
They
or
do,
some
there's,
kind
well,
of-
there's a meeting
Right.
earlier with the businesses, they're doing something with the
Yeah.
businesses, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll follow up on that. to
Okay, I
make sure
just
that
wanted
that's-
you
but
not
no,
to
thank
have
you
to
for
wait through
reminding me,
all of that.
yeah, that's great. So Cynthia, you're gonna give us a little update about the community conversation about
Yes.
race? Thank you.
Have to, So, Carrie and Tina are also on the group that's been planning this program, but not able to be here, so I will give a report on it. We've, since last month, we have come up with a date, which is Thursday, May 22nd. It's not the date of the Human Rights Committee, it's the week before. Just so you know, it's not conflict. It will be at the library community room. And it will start at 6:30 with refreshments, which Tina and Carrie and I are gonna figure out, but it'll be something simple like pizza. And at the program will be 2 hours, 6:45 to 8:45. The idea of having some sort of refreshments there is for some people, especially if we're able to get some younger people, that's a kind of perk. It also, we're thinking of people coming from work. They don't have time to go home, and if they don't need to, that you can get a little something to eat. I asked Katie King if she knew when the flyers would be out, because I know the town is super busy, but the idea was to get it out as soon as possible, and that the that as many groups as we can connect with to try to get the word out. It's gonna be an important part of it. The theme, and in my notes, I wasn't sure whether it was becoming an inclusive community or living into inclusive community, but that's the main phrase, is being an inclusive community. The overall series is called Community Conversations on Race. Here's the blurb. Please join us for a continuation of the workshop series that focuses on race and racism, history, shared language, self-reflection, upstanding, and equity. The workshop will be facilitated, and will involve small group interaction. All are welcome, but space is limited, and there's a QR code, but there's also, I feel that's really important, not to just,
Were you asking for RSVPs? Do
we're,
you have to register? I
You
mean,
don't have
If
to.
you're having food, how would you know how much food to get?
we're encouraging people to register, but not demanding it.
So you're just gonna guess.
Right, that will give us some idea. We say, please register, space is limited, but we aren't saying, if you don't register, you can't
can't
come
Right,
through.
yeah.
but that's kind
So
of
we're
implying to
putting-
people that they're supposed to register.
Right,
Right.
that's
Exactly.
good.
It'll give you.
Who's
a good-
facilitating it?
The facilitator is Gary
Gary
Bailey
Bailey, oh, great.
from Simmons College, who's done a lot of work with the Real Coalition. And he'll have a co-facilitator with him, and generally he has a person of color, and he has somebody who is not person of color, so that they can balance out what they're offering. And Pete originally came up with a beautiful agenda for 2 sessions, and we decided it's only realistic to have one. So I haven't seen the final thing, but it was terrific. So doors and food will be at 6:30, program 6:45 to 8:45, and we know it's a hard stop. They really close it up at the library at 9, so we have to try to end at 8:45. So we had hoped that the flyers would be out by now, and this is one of the big asks for all the groups and for the Human Rights Committee, is to reach out to people. When somebody asks, well, what if there's some people who think that this is all wrong? Well, we'll find some way to deal with that, but we're not trying to get people who disagree with the idea of being diverse and inclusive. It's more trying to get a lot of those folks there and to work together to deepen some of our understanding of ways in which things that we each have to deal with that will make us stronger as we understand those things.
You know that that's Memorial Day weekend.
I know, and that's Thursday
I
evening.
know, so that,
Yeah, we don't dare do Friday, obviously.
no, I know, but
It's close to.
yeah, it's close.
I know.
So I mean, it's, I
It
was,
wasn't the date that some of us originally thought of, a Sunday one, but they had to go around the people who were gonna be facilitating it, and then it turned out that the library was free that night.
Mhm.
So,
okay, just-
Okay.
yeah, and once you get into May, it's better to do things in April, but then April has its things, so
okay,
we're just hoping to have a good number of people, and it's so different than maybe a year ago,
Right.
that we need to strengthen who we are,
Mhm.
who believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as learning more about how we can be even stronger.
Do you want, do you want help? And I
Yes,
could come that night.
yeah, that'd be great, and I heard from Tina, we're supposed to, the 3 of us, figure out refreshments. Tina said, I'll bring the paper goods, and I'm thinking, well, I'll bring the beverages, and we've heard nothing from the third person,
Right.
so we may be looking for people who could pick up pizza.
I could do
Oh,
that.
that's, no,
Yeah,
it's not,
that's the easy.
it's not a
that's
heavy
easy.
lift. Unless it's
And
heavy
the
pizza.
town has funds to pay for it, so we can just figure out what kind to get.
Hmm.
And I have my favorite place, that instead of gigantic ones, I have more, they're easier to hold.
That's great.
Terrific, Marie.
Excellent.
Well, yes,
I would recommend.
okay.
That's great. Anything else on that? So I think,
And I think a lot of people were there in June. I don't know if you, I don't know, it was the high school group that has Courageous Conversations on Race, did a lot of presenting and took the people who were there through some of the exercises they do with kids in the classroom. And then Joanne Allen Willoughby was a main presenter there, but
was that wasn't last year.
that was last June.
That was last June. It seems like it was 2 years
I
ago.
I know, the way things have
Oh,
gone.
my gosh.
And
Can't
I'm trying to
believe
think, Adenoe Baptista, I don't know if you know him. Yeah, he was one
I
of the
remember.
It was one of the-
fantastic presenters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, really,
So we're,
it's amazing.
this this whole thing is part of what came out of, Human Rights Committee and other groups who were concerned. That was 2 years before, when we heard from the Chinese Friends of Needham about those incidents of bullying, and they felt that there's a lot more that needed to happen. And one of it was that it's not just a problem with kids in school, it's coming from the community and from parents. So we're doing that part, and there's another group that was looking at the actual way, the procedures and policy for the school department and dealing with bullying. And we had a meeting of the Human Rights Committee at the library. And the superintendent was there with some of the leaders in the school department, and he went through what the policies are, and I think that there was some really good feedback that they listened to. And we're trying to find ways of doing a better job of communicating and not having a tiny portal for you to come through to get your complaint. If you didn't that, forget it, and not getting back to people. So I think there's been improvement there, but this is,
What are you gonna do to get high school kids to come?
let me see. See, we have on this planning committee, in addition to the superintendent, we have Beth Finals, who's very involved, and why am I forgetting? But there,
But I was
So there's a
wondering if we could
In the
subgroup.
past, some of the teachers have said if that's.
But I was wondering if, I mean, we have 2 high school kids on our committee, if there's some way that they could be recruiting. I think
that's a really good
teen
idea.
to teen is better than adult to teen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you say to your friends, I'm going to this, please come, or whatever.
If you tell them there's pizza sometimes.
That's right.
I think that helps.
I don't know if there's a flyer, like a digital version I could be sent, but I could definitely get in contact with like the school newspaper or like the student news.
That'd be great.
And it plays weekly and I can just get a little
Yeah.
like segment in there.
Awesome.
So as soon as the flyer comes out.
Okay.
get it over.
Great.
That's
over
great.
your
Yeah, because it was well attended, the one in June, I remember, right? It was,
It was
Yeah.
very well
yeah,
attended.
exactly, I
Yeah,
remember.
like 70 people.
Yeah,
Believe
yeah,
it.
so-
Feels like it was perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh. The
That's
world
great.
is so different.
awesome. So I think the next item is Race Amity Day. And so I can briefly talk about this because I had an email conversation with Kim Marie Nichols from NDI.
And if you want this, that's what.
Oh, thank you. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I got what
I'll
she
give a
said.
brief, yeah, just a tiny little
Yay.
snapshot of it was, so it's Race Amity Day is observed on the second Sunday in June, which this year is June 8th, from 3 to 5 p.m. at Avery Field in Needham Heights.
Oh, it's everything.
And it's co-sponsored by NDI, the Needham Human Rights Committee, Green Needham, the Needham History Center and Museum, and the Needham Select Board. And if you don't know, Race Amity Day celebrates friendships across races and cultures and honors efforts that promote equity and social justice. So now more important than ever. And so this year, the reason that it's at Avery Field is they'll mark the special day with a dedication to Richard Fry, who the name was familiar, but I had to do a little brief lookup. I don't know if I've seen the name in emails. But he's an African-American man born in 1874 to a formerly enslaved father who lived a life of quiet generosity and left his estate to the town to support youth recreation at Avery Field. So they're gonna
Oh,
dedicate a plaque. I think there was one before, but I think it deteriorated. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
right?
so
So nice.
it actually may have been put, I think the new one is up there, but this is the occasion.
That's right, the recognition of it.
Yeah, and Green Needham is a main group
Yep.
behind that, and of course, the history.
That's
Yes,
really nice.
exactly. Yeah, the History Center
But
sent out a really nice
Really
email.
recommend that people read it, because
Yeah.
the whole way it unraveled was this guy is hitchhiking in town, and a man picked him up in his carriage, and they got to know each other, and he had him live with him, and it goes on and on about all the ways in which he interacted with people in our town.
Yeah.
And there are probably lots of unknown stories like that.
Yeah, that's right. If you don't, subscribe to the Needham History Center newsletter, it's fantastic. I
It's
mean, they
great.
have,
It's so
Gloria
great.
does such a wonderful job
Every week.
putting that together. I know, it's
Yeah.
amazing, the history. So yeah, that'll be, yeah, neither did I. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I.
Maybe
like I
we
said,
could put that in the minutes, well, not just the link for the Richard Fry story, but the link to sign up for the.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't, I
Center.
guess, I didn't realize, I mean, I'm a member,
Remember, yeah,
but, I didn't realize today, when I was reading it, that it said anybody can sign up for this.
yeah, the
Oh, I
newsletter
have
is
to- you
completely
don't have to
free.
be a
I
member.
wasn't aware of that. My
Yeah.
husband pays the membership thing and he sends it to me, so I do.
Yeah, it's a great resource in town, that a lot of people don't
And they will
realize.
put our things on there
Yeah.
too, their calendar.
Yeah,
So we have to
they've always
I
been
think I
very
just remember
cooperative.
that, I read it, so I don't have it here, but I could look. But, what's interesting about, if you join, there's reciprocity with so many different museums. I've been in other places in this country and used my card, and you could get into other museums. So it's really worth, I mean, I like supporting it, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it's got other
Yeah, it's
benefits.
a great place, and it's very welcoming to any Needham resident that wants to, have, a small event there, that the red schoolhouse is super cool, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's a really neat thing, so.
And we had Race Amity Day there one time, which was really neat.
Yeah. That's great, so
And
hope
we
there,
had a lot of people come from the Boston families who are in Metco. And we had some high school group sings.
we'll keep our fingers crossed for good weather this year. Last year, I think it was a little,
Oh,
Nice.
it turned
Yeah.
out to be okay, but up until.
that's right, at the last moment, I remember.
And I would say to them, so what's plan B? And they go, pray for
Right.
good weather. You know, That's not quite a
I'm gonna
plan
get you the
B.
link. You can put it in the minutes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I
that's
just
great.
found,
So,
Amazingly helpful. Thank you.
yeah, I'll move on to the next item, which is, so for June, Pride Month and Juneteenth program. I'm not sure I don't think we've done much in the past,
A
but we
couple years
talk
ago,
about it.
didn't we have something like during the month, something
We
we
had
posted
something
almost
that
every
we
day?
posted every
Really
day.
good.
Yeah, the social
Yeah.
But
media,
in terms of Juneteenth, for the last 2 years, the town has been doing something. And so I suggested having it on the agenda so that we can find out what's the town doing, and it was kind of small, but at least they did it. They had some young people reading, I don't remember what the quotes
Yeah.
were, but and it was in the town common, like the middle of the day. Do you know anything about if it's on the calendar?
I do not know what the plan is for this year, but I can absolutely find out by next meeting.
But that was
That'd be great,
something,
yeah.
so when
Yeah.
you're going there to present the statement, you say, oh, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, they put
I'll try to
www,
get
but nobody.
the
uses
plugs
that
in that I
anymore.
can.
And another thing to put on
Did you
the,
get it?
in terms of what's happening in June,
Fantastic.
so June 16th or 15th, whichever one is a Sunday, that they, every year, the last few years,
I just sent it to
the
myself.
Congregational
I'm about
Church
to send it to me.
and the
And then I'll
Unitarian
send it.
I
Church
could've sent it to you.
have been doing a Needham Pride Parade, and they start at the first parish with various activities, and then they walk to Congregational Church, and there are more activities there. So it's like our own
Right, there.
Pride.
Yeah.
And it is on Father's Day, but it's the only day that it works because there's graduation and then there's Race Amity Day.
That's
So-
right, so June 15th, I think is the day,
15th,
yes,
whatever
exactly.
would be that Sunday. So if we can like add that,
Yeah, maybe we can have a brush up at the next meeting to see if make sure that we have some attendance there and.
but
promote
just to
more.
put it in the minutes.
Yeah,
Add the what was it called?
It's called Needham Pride. It's
Needham Pride, okay.
a parade and
Yeah.
activities. And I think at least you can put the Congregational Church.
Is that under the next point?
It's,
Just to-
it's on.
Oh,
Sunday-
Juneteenth and
Sunday
Pride, I see,
afternoon.
okay. I thought it
There-
were two different points in the,
No, it's more things happening in June.
yeah.
And
yeah.
Juneteenth is different than
Yep, yeah.
Pride activities,
Yeah.
but interrelated to our.
I thought there were different points in the, for the meeting. I didn't know. They were combined.
yeah, I see some information from last year's event. I think actually. But yeah, so we can follow up to see if there's any
I can,
Any way we can
I can
support.
look the congregation churches.
Also on events in June, I don't know where like it's in the agenda, but I also wanted to bring up the Trans Speak Out event.
Oh,
Gemma and I have been working on like finding speakers.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned Jesse Young Paulson, who was
Yes.
our past speaker. I have like a personal connection with them from debate, so I reached out and they were super interested in
That's
coming.
great.
Oh,
I
so,
also contacted the
Great.
Queer Student Union at the high school, and I think there's another student that's interested. I just need to find a date for them.
Yeah.
I don't know if we like landed on one or if we're supposed to figure one out today.
That's a great question.
I was thinking, it's like supposed to be June, right? Or like-
Yeah,
I was thinking because people might be going away, especially students for the
Yeah.
summer, maybe like the first few weeks of June.
right.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't know if there's like other stuff that we need to consider.
just the first weekend is graduation. So
Oh, yeah.
maybe this,
yeah,
were
probably.
you thinking of a weekend or a weeknight or a week afternoon?
I don't know if like a weekday would be fine. We have this, the very last week, the high school has early release days every single day. So
Ah,
if we had something like right after school, they
That's a
wouldn't
nice
even have to
idea.
leave the school.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, or if we have something at night,
Yeah.
I don't know if
If
that.
people would come.
Yeah, it'd be hard to
So,
come back.
Those
And the
early
weather's
release
nice
dates, is
and-
that for finals?
Yeah, so we only have 2 finals and I think we're let out at like 11:30, 12 maybe. And then we just have the rest of the day. And I know one of those days we have like an event to welcome the 8th graders for next year. I think it's on like Tuesday or something. I can double check. But any other day, like I could contact the admin to like book out the auditorium or like the
That'd
cafeteria.
be great.
And then we'd have a facility there too.
That's a great
sounds
idea. Lou. Yeah, yeah. But I guess, I mean, I'm open to whatever day works best for the
Students.
students. Yeah, exactly. Get a turnout from them would be nice.
Okay,
Because you're inviting the whole community, but it's really focused on the students, right?
yeah,
yeah, and if it's not good for them, then
yeah.
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
should, yeah, you should, I would suggest that you ask a few of your friends, just, would they be willing to stay on those early release days? Just
Yeah,
to
I'll
see,
double
just
check.
because you're willing, you're interested, it doesn't mean other people are, right?
Yeah, that's true.
and when Jesse would be around,
Yeah, I'll double check with the 2 like potential
Yeah.
Well,
speakers.
yeah, Jesse must, I mean, Jesse's in college, so they
Yeah,
must be coming home probably in May.
yeah,
unless they have other plans, like
maybe.
Yeah, that's
heading
true.
off to
Yeah, you're right.
internships.
yeah, but I think we'd be open to, I think during, yeah, I mean, that seems like the right time to do it. So as
Yeah.
long as, you know, we feel like we can get good participation and presenters will come, I think that's, you know, so if you want to follow up with us at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, or do, you know, in the next couple of weeks and we can try to
Yeah,
figure
but
out
I
a
would
time.
try to get something on the calendar as soon
Yeah,
as you
right.
can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, we still have some
And we
time,
don't
but
have
this is
to
great.
take a vote to support it.
Yeah.
We already.
We already
I think we
did.
did, yeah,
We
exactly.
did last
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for the reminder.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, last year the Needham Pride parade thing and party march was June 16th,
Right.
which was the Father's Day,
Yeah.
2 to 4. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 to 4, that's right.
But I saw it somewhere for this year.
That's great. Okay, excellent. Yeah, thanks
Thank
for
you
that.
so much.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay, so, I have Marlene for the NRN. mental
Yeah,
health
so I
update.
sent you all a long letter that you probably didn't read. But the,
Being
which is
realistic.
fine if you didn't, but the bottom line is, it talks about, you know, what NRN has been doing, and all about mental health and the stigma and different factors. So the ask is, how might Human Rights Committee bring emotional wellness resources and programming to the Needham community in the way that is consistent with or elevates our mission? And I would add to that, that's the question they want us to ask. Is it part of our mission?
Well.
Is mental health part of our mission? Is that considered a human right? So, you know, what do we think? So that's what I wanted to have a conversation.
I would say support for people who have mental illness or mental situations should be a human right. I mean, you hear about, not to get into what's going on nationally around the country.
I was just thinking
But-
what you're thinking.
Right, it's, you know, I think it's important for us to be supportive of something like that.
So what might we do? So they're asking each liaison to talk to their groups, you know, I think there are 15 of us this year in the cohort. And they're asking each group, and some of the groups are already doing things. like people are doing book talks, they're doing all kinds of different things around mental health. And I actually have a meeting with one of the facilitators next week to help us think about it. But I mean, they're talking about centralizing mental health resources, which I don't think is something that we would do. Early education, strengthening community and social connection, create holistic and preventative approaches to mental health, civic engagement, cultural competence. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things. So what might we do? I mean,
I have a
Can
question.
I can give you some ideas.
good, great,
Okay, the Multicultural Festival
yeah,
is an example of how I think that enhances people's mental health if everybody, all the different groups are heard and seen and valued. The same for the community conversation on race, the idea of including people. And this is like, not just looking at people who are identified as mental health problems and how you get resources. This is talking about the mental health
of the community, that's what we're talking about.
And that's, yeah, that's
So
what.
you
I
think
was
we're
saying.
already doing things?
But maybe we highlight our understanding of that aspect of it and look at that. And when years and years ago, when I was involved with the anti-war movement and I was a psychologist at the Mental Health Center, a number of us for the South Shore area put together mental health practitioners against the war because we thought it was affecting people's mental health. The war was going on and that we were implicated with doing things that were bad for people's conscience. And so I think what's going on right now is
Really bad for people's mental
bad
health.
for mental health.
Yeah.
So anything we can do to support diversity, equity, and inclusion is in the direction
Of
of
mental health, that's very helpful, it's a good way.
Yeah, I feel like that's.
Really
Yeah.
great way to look.
Yeah, it's a really good way.
Yeah, I think the human library I was
Yeah.
talking about, I think it
Yeah.
really
Yes,
helps a
that's
lot
true.
with the,
Might help with,
Mental health,
okay, so,
because in
and
that
I'm gonna
case,
hear about
like,
that
so
next.
I'll tell you some people I talked to about it next, but
Okay,
it really allows people to connect, you connect the whole community.
Yeah.
And
you're
people
breaking
can
down
really
barriers.
You're breaking down a lot of barriers in a very kind of processed way, and people can have a voice. And, you know, imagine some people, they feel alone, you
yeah,
know, and they have no one to talk to or
Right.
share things with, or, you know. And then when you feel alone, you built up all these ideas and you just
Right.
start creating things, you know, that having a voice and someone to talk to really helps.
that's great, that's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems,
seems like we're already doing,
well, yeah, I mean, I guess I would, it sounds simple, but I think I would agree with, you know, the first point is that it's like all the things that we try to do to make people feel good about themselves and comfortable and safe. It's all related to how they feel mentally.
right,
And so it is kind of all tied together. I don't know if, you know, if there's other support, you know, because especially with Cynthia mentions being a psychologist, it's like, you know, it does cross into like the medical. And to me, I think like, okay, medically, how do you help protect people's mental health by doing these things too? So maybe that is something that we
Yeah. So
think
it's like,
about.
it's like giving a different lens to what
Yeah.
we're doing and not just say, oh, we're already doing it. Well, let's think about that aspect.
Right.
Because maybe there's a way we can enhance that.
In the way we present programs, or even say, you know, this is, you know, part of our
Right.
feelings in the community that. you know,
Or look
this-
for opportunities as follow-up, if people want to continue to talk, or having small groups where people meet each other as part of programs. I'm just
right.
kind of
I mean,
brainstorming.
belonging in general helps people's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
mental health, so,
Yeah, I wonder if there's like resources. I mean, I'm just thinking of, you know, Board of Health, you know, 10 resources in the town.
well, we
that
have,
maybe
I
we
mean,
could try to incorporate more into what we do.
well, that's the other thing is that, I thought about us collaborating with some of these other groups
Right.
in town that are
Yeah.
doing things,
Yeah,
so.
so maybe that's
a
an
possibility,
opportunity.
some
Yeah, 'cause I was
collaboration,
gonna say, let us know as you hear about what other.
what other people are doing. if they want
And
to
we
collaborate.
could, like, at the next meeting,
Yeah.
say, gee, we would like to co-sponsor, we would like to support
Yeah,
something like that.
It certainly
It's
seems
a way
like
without
it's-
heavy lifting on our part, but as part of our mission and part of what we should be doing,
Right.
supporting those things.
There's also going to be, I've only heard a little bit about it, but I think it's September 28th, something called Needham Thrives. And it's coming out of NRN, but it's to show how we're doing well, I guess, in terms of mental health. They haven't talked a lot about it, but they gave us a date. And I think they are expecting each of the liaisons to, I'm actually gonna be out of town that day, so I'm not gonna be able to
What
do
was
it.
the date?
I think it's
September
September 28th.
Oh,
I know, it sounds like
we'd
it's,
live, we'd make it through September.
I
28th.
think it sounds like, well, I
You're
love
on
the idea
list town committees.
of calling
Oh,
it,
yeah, they could shut us down.
yeah, that's a Sunday, and I love Needham Thrives. I think
Yeah.
that's just such
Great
a
name.
Yeah, exactly.
nice name.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, you know, hopefully, if I'm not there, well, I won't be there. You know, we can maybe have some presence, so.
Yeah,
Let me give you an example of a program that led to something that I think is really supportive for people in mental health. North Hill had a program for grandparents and understanding trans people
Mhm.
and how to support them. And a friend of mine was there, who's at North Hill, and she said it was an incredible program and people spoke very personally, and what came out of that was a support group, an ongoing support group for grandparents who were trying to understand and support their grandchildren who are trans. So if we think about that kind of thing for any program, and I'm thinking about, they may already have things in school, but the school year is winding down. You know, where that you have a program where people may feel supported, but they may feel like undone, you know, and so forth. And how do you have something that's there for people after the program?
Yeah,
And people like Beth Conyers will probably be
well,
good at helping.
I actually was in a online grandparent support group for grandparents of trans kids. I think there were 4 sessions that I did. And they had breakout groups. It was really interesting because so many of the people were just in the beginning,
Mhm.
and it wasn't as helpful for me because I have been living with this for a long time and knew a lot. And I felt it was more educational for people than kind of supportive. But so I think that's a great thing to do.
yeah, but I think it's nice, I think it's nice to keep it in mind as we do these programs though. Cause I don't think I really connected it until we said it.
Right.
That like, yeah, kind of everything is affecting mental health. And any way we can support people is combating that, so,
Mhm.
yeah, makes
And
sense.
so, and there's, what the hope is that there's gonna be a rollout, some of sort of what mental health is like in Needham. So based on the focus groups that we had, that each of the groups had, only Greg was the only one who's here now who came. Oh, Bud, you were there, you were, I'm sorry. So
You're
there,
faithful too.
I'm sorry. So I think that there's gonna be, looking at taking all the research from that
Yeah.
information and sort of how we're doing
Right,
in Needham in terms of mental
Yeah,
health.
and if that data was collected before January 19th, or before November's thing,
No, it wasn't,
No.
it was in January.
It was in
January,
but
right?
it may begin to look a lot different too.
Even
Yeah,
100 days after January.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
no, even,
But I think that's really exciting. It kind of gives us instead of, oh, let's see how many people came and it was a great program, that you think a little bit differently. How does this connect with other groups and with broader goals?
yeah, that's great.
thank you,
Yeah,
that's
thanks
really
for the
helpful, I
update.
appreciate it.
No, that's,
And the multicultural festival.
yes, that's right,
But you have your people you were meeting with.
that's right, yeah,
One day.
yeah, we'll get to it.
When
but-
we all have time. for
Exactly,
coffee.
yes.
It's not on here, so.
No, that's right. That was 60, that's my first meeting, Money, so
You're
go
doing
easy.
a great job.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
might be out of there by
Let's,
8:30. You may
Let
cheer
us
all the
go,
meetings
that's
going
right,
forward.
yeah, well, you know,
You wouldn't mind.
I'll crawl before I walk here, but, all right, so Greg, you wanna give us that human library update?
Okay, yeah, so I visited the Center at the Heights, the library, and a bunch of other places in Needham where it could be held. the idea of the human library is like, it could be a one event thing, it could be an ongoing thing. But the general idea is people submit books. So for example, anyone here could submit themselves as a book. And you create your own title of your book and, you know, give a brief synopsis of what you're about, you know. And it would be, people then would check you out and you would talk for a half hour.
But right there, like in the library or public space.
You would be in a public space. So we would need the space and it would be organized. I don't have all the details on it, so I did apply to the Human Library to become a member, where we would be as a publisher. And then we would hold events and we would be part of this worldwide organization. And they provide a lot of details. So I did speak to them a couple times. They said the process takes a couple months.
Yep.
It could take up to 6 months to like get you officially licensed. So we would have a Human Library license
Yeah.
for Needham. And then anybody that would be looking to do this in the area would be sent to us. And it's possible that like in Dedham or Wellesley or other places, they don't have that. And then anybody that applies to be a book would then come to Needham.
Yeah, I wonder
Yeah.
if we know any in the area, do we like,
I didn't see any,
Yeah.
okay, they didn't mention any to me. I do know it's in 80 countries.
yeah,
I know it's pretty big in Europe, I know that. I know they definitely have branches here.
right,
Or they have it, they definitely have it here. So that's the base gist of it. There's a lot more that goes into it, where it could be events. It started, I think it was 15 years ago. And it was basically just to connect people
right,
from the community that, you know, live together and have way more in common than they have differences. And so they could speak and understand each other. You know, I think it fits really well for our community.
yeah,
Exceptional, because a lot of people, maybe they want to share their story. And I think a lot of people want to hear it.
Yeah.
And to be able to hear it, like, you're really able to understand and connect with people. And, you know, it's kind of like you were saying, like, parents, a child is bullying a student and it's coming from the parent. And there's a good chance that parent is never connected with anybody else and they're just isolated themselves,
Right.
you know, and maybe they feel that they're being isolated, or they feel, maybe they have a story to tell too. You
Yeah,
know, there's
and
all kinds
stories
of,
are-
you know, stories.
Are considered to be the very best way for people to hear one another.
Yeah, so it's kind of, and it could be an event where we bring all people together. It could be often, it could be once, it could be, there are a lot of options here, you know, but I just love the idea.
yeah, I do
just-
too, Greg.
I love the idea of it, yeah.
Gonna meet with the library to talk to them
So I met
about
with
it?
the library,
Oh, you
Oh,
met?
you did?
yeah, and I met with the Heights. The Heights was Aisha Kelly, I
Yeah.
think that's her name. She was like, this is amazing. This is like fantastic.
Oh, that's
She's
awesome.
like, you can use, she said like 3 spaces you could use anytime.
Wow,
And she's like, you could take the fireside chat room, you can have
Oh,
the
there's that
outside
nice one.
patio,
That's a
you
nice
can
one.
take, you know,
right.
And what place
And-
is this?
that was the center at the Heights.
Center at the
Oh,
Heights.
center.
You know,
Oh, yeah,
and,
right.
you know, when you think about Center at the
Yeah.
Heights, there's a lot of people there that can be books.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
Yeah.
Right, so she's
Yeah.
like,
Have
can-
stories.
she's like, can we have
They
it?
would love to tell.
Yeah, exactly, and she's like, could we have it here? I'm like, that's kind of what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I was
Want to be here.
Hoping you never ask.
Yeah.
What about the library?
The library was like, somewhat receptive, but they were like, oh, there's a process. So when I was speaking to the person at the library, I don't remember her last name, but her first name was Gay. It was
Oh, yeah,
Gay.
we know Gay,
Okay, so I was speaking to Gay.
Gay Carbonell.
She was a little bit like rough around the edges around it. She's like, okay, I'll process it, I'll get it here.
But you see,
And
she-
someone next to her said, did you say human library?
Oh, and they recognize.
And I was like, yeah. She's like, is that coming here? I'm
Wow.
like, I hope so.
See, one of
I'm
the things
trying.
about Gay is that that's her job,
Yeah.
doing community things, and she's probably way up there.
Oh, yeah,
with
I'm sure
things.
she's
But she's
getting it
been
all the
very
time.
helpful
Yeah.
with
Yeah, I'm sure she gets a lot of
human rights
stuff, yeah.
committee things.
So I did write her an
And
email
Needham Community
and,
Council.
yeah. So then I went to Miles over at
Yeah.
Town Hall. And
Yeah.
Miles was like, he's like, I think it's a fantastic idea. He's like, you got a couple options here. You could just do it on your own, you know, or you could get the committee to vote for it.
Right,
And if you guys vote for it, that's gonna open up a lot of options.
right.
It's like, then you can hold it in town hall, you can hold it in any school, you can hold it in.
Oh, because if it comes from us, because we're a town committee.
Exactly,
Right.
it's like if a town committee votes they wanna take this on, then you have a lot of places you can host it and, you know, more backing for it.
Yeah.
And maybe
Yeah.
even I don't know, funding if needed, I don't know if funding's needed. or not,
Well,
but
we
yeah.
could potentially, yes.
Well, we have to
Right.
publicize, so.
I was
Well,
gonna say.
publicizing, getting
Yeah.
the word out on.
I mean, I
it,
think
stuff like that.
I think at least this committee, we're all super interested.
Oh,
in
I
hearing
think
more.
it's,
Yeah.
I think
So
it's so
cool.
At the
cool.
very least,
So
Greg,
fun,
yeah, I would say like
So-
if we can get
Yeah,
as much information and maybe we can put together a little
Yeah.
snapshot of what it would look like as you're like
Yeah.
planning it all out.
yeah, so I mean, it
And
could
then we
be,
can,
yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
can-
know,
like,
vote on
what do
it
you,
and
Yeah.
promote
I'd like
it.
to see a,
so how.
if
I-
someone is a book, I'd like
Yeah.
to see what they write. Like if I present, my
Yeah.
book is Marlene Schultz, so,
Yeah.
what would I say, or what would your book say? So I'd like to see some
that's a
samples of
nice
that.
idea.
I think
I mean,
I've
if
seen
my,
some
if
on
I wrote my
Facebook.
book now, that I'm just popping this out of my head, I'm not putting much thought to it, I would definitely mention something about a Jewish family
Yeah.
in Needham, so that way somebody that was, cause you wanna have a real.
It has to be a
draw,
personal,
and this
yeah,
is somebody that maybe was like, had some feelings about Jewish people,
right,
and that's who I want to check me out,
yeah,
so they can
Or
understand
an
my
interfaith
side more.
couple,
What's
you know,
that?
Or if someone
interfaith
was in-
family.
Or
Yeah.
interfaith
Right.
families, but that's what you put as your title.
So you have your like tabs or
You know,
something.
Yeah,
You have your hook.
yeah, you have your hook, and
Yeah.
that's, that would be, something Jewish would be my biggest thing.
Yeah.
So then people would wanna see that, and then, and obviously there's a lot going on with that,
Right.
so then,
yeah. I
then
think
they
it's,
would wanna have
And we
a
have
chat
people-
about that.
yeah,
And the
and I
Muslim
think that's-
families of Needham who.
And I would love to
be.
check them out and talk
Yeah.
to them,
I think,
and I think it's so much, it would be so powerful and impactful to have that conversation. Because people associate us with, what, like, we have no power in Israel. But when people talk to me, they seem to think I do.
Right.
They-
yeah,
If
It's
we go
like,
to
well, I can
Canada,
have
they're gonna
opinion on
say
this,
you
but
should
hey,
take
guys,
care
I'm not a.
but I think it would be really interesting. I mean, first of all, I think it's great, the work that you're doing already.
Yeah,
And I think if we can like hone in
Yeah.
on exactly, like get it more focused on what it would look like
Yeah.
there.
yeah.
I
So
think we'll be very supportive and
Yeah.
it sounds like the town will be very
I
supportive.
can
It's
put
just a
something
matter of
very
communicating out
clear
more.
together.
And it could be on several levels. It could be on adults, it could be on high school students. I mean, it could
It's
really,
very broad.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if you think big on
Yeah,
this, it
yeah.
could really be.
So I think maybe a cool thing we could do is, we could just say in the fall,
Yeah.
choose a date.
Yeah.
And we could say, we're gonna have an event,
Yeah.
a human library event, maybe it's at the library, maybe it's at a couple places, I don't, or maybe it's just in town hall.
Right,
And then we organize it with who would wanna be a book.
Yeah.
Kind of
And
a
put that
pilot.
information out over the summer, or, at times people could put themselves as book and then develop a schedule.
right.
And
Well,
then
in the
from that
fall,
schedule.
people seem to come back to school mentality, like back to checking
Yeah.
out a book.
Checking on
Yeah,
books,
checking out a
yeah.
book, yeah, maybe, and then we have one big event first, and if we can draw enough people
To
that are
promote.
interested and enough people that become books.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And then if we have enough books, then from that, then we can do it,
Yeah.
it's easy to continue once you get.
No, exactly. I think
Yeah.
once you get the infrastructure
But-
set up and you
Yeah.
get the library built, you get the library.
But I think if
Stop
you
it.
do that meeting, I think you have to have, an example there.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah,
you have to have, like you,
Yeah,
and maybe even someone interviewing you or talking to you.
yes,
As a
yeah, so
book.
they
To
have,
show how it works.
they
and
have a
people
structure.
Oh, they
Yeah.
tell you how
they have a
to.
structure, and there might even be a chance they send somebody to train us.
Yeah, because
So
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
People who are candidates to be books would
Yeah.
come to something where they go around and maybe try out something like a little workshop, and they might say,
Yeah,
no, maybe that's not right for me because this is a really tender area and
so
I'm
the-
not sure.
Yeah.
Or maybe I would do this area and not that.
Yeah. So I don't have that whole structure now.
Yeah.
It's a little frustrating for me because I talk to them and they tell me all this stuff
Yeah,
and they're
it's-
like, they don't give me that structure. They're like, well, we have so many people
Do
applying right
do
now.
we pay
There's
them to
a
do that?
process to do
Oh,
it.
so did you apply?
I apply.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
very
I-
similar. Our temple on Yom Kippur has in our response where people actually share their journey.
Well, we do the same.
And
Yeah.
this is, they're given a certain time period to present it, but it's a very similar thing, but on
Yeah.
a more personal one-to-one.
Well,
Yeah,
because no one
basis.
asks questions.
Right.
This is
Yeah.
a, this is a,
like a
this is a
talk,
one-on-one.
Right. This is a
Yeah, it
dialogue.
goes,
Yeah.
you talk, but then you ask questions, you talk, and I can also ask you questions.
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
I think
and,
I've
yeah.
seen some things on Facebook that maybe have a little video with it. I think
Oh,
that-
for this? Or for
Yeah,
human
human
library?
library.
It's a big thing, yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
so
yeah.
maybe, I'm just thinking as next, we're thinking of the, you know, at the
Okay,
events of what needs to go
Yeah,
on before that, so a couple people will work with you and.
yeah,
Greg, why don't you send us, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
before the next meeting, something in the way of a link, so.
You
we
did,
can-
didn't you?
yeah,
I-
there's,
I
there's,
did,
there's
yeah.
there's a link to
Yeah,
the
I missed it.
website and
I missed
everything,
it,
yeah.
sorry.
Oh,
You
it's
look,
okay.
hey, Marie, look.
Well, I
at
looked
that.
at it in the minutes, that
Okay.
Yeah.
somehow I went on to.
It was linked to a
But I
mention
mean-
or
somewhere.
something,
Okay.
yeah.
but I mean, I think, first of all, I think if we were, I mean, I think the idea is great. And I think that if we're going through the legwork, you're going through the legwork right now, eventually we'll all be going through it.
Yeah.
The real idea should be set up like in something as an infrastructure of it, right?
Yeah.
To, you know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You know,
Yeah,
and the idea would be to do,
Yeah.
because I imagine it's almost the same amount of work to do it for a
Yeah.
day as it is to start to build up the momentum to have it, so you could do it a
Yeah.
bunch of times.
Exactly.
And so all we
Yeah.
have to do is get
Yeah.
it to that day
Yeah,
and.
it's my assumption they have a software,
Right,
and they have some kind of built-in software that
Yeah.
would be then, you know, taking in books and you'd be able to check them out.
yeah,
It would
Yeah.
have a set guided system of like how you would be introducing your title and how not to cause too much conflict while
Right.
you're having. these
yeah, right,
discussions
exactly.
about-
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
there
there's
has
some
to be-
guidelines.
Yeah, there
A
have
lot
to
of
be
experience.
guidelines.
Yeah,
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 exactly.
there's some guidelines to it, and
Yeah.
yeah.
But it'd be
And,
nice, yeah, when you hear from them, Greg, so you applied
Yeah.
recently, I guess, right? in the
Yeah, I
last-
mean, when I went through this process, then I chatted with
Yeah.
them and then they sent back to me very quickly. They said, you sound like an excellent publisher.
Yeah,
And I think that you should publish and you should do this in your town.
So did
And I was
you
like,
do this as Greg, or did you do this
Yeah.
as the Needham Human
I
Rights Committee?
definitely put Needham Human Rights Committee in there, but I didn't want to say it was Needham Human Rights Committee because we had to vote on it. So I
Right.
said Greg under
Yeah,
the
on
Needham
behalf, yeah,
Human Rights
exactly.
Committee.
Yeah.
And I very clearly said, this would be, you know, this would be one of the, part of the Needham Human Rights Committee and, you know.
cool.
I think
always
it's
be
really
something that
exciting.
we'd all do.
Great
Yeah.
work. Can I ask you
And
too,
then,
but do you need any help? I mean, does anybody in the committee wanna, do you need, is it time to
Yeah.
bring in some
That-
help
That's a great
to,
question.
right?
I think at
Are you-
this point, I need to get.
Some more
I gotta get
information?
More information
Yeah.
back from them. So
But I
once I
think when
get
you're
that-
ready for,
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
And I'd be
another set of
happy to help
hands.
you with it.
Okay,
Well,
yeah,
after you
yeah,
get more
yeah.
information.
Yeah, I'll get more information.
that's
then I
really
can,
cool.
Yeah.
And then we can just
get
kind of
going
see what the
along.
next gradual steps, like as we learn more about the program and
Yeah. So what I'll
maybe
do
hear
is
some
in the
more
process,
examples,
once
yeah,
I-
and how it's set up
What
in other
I'll
places.
push to get by the next meeting is a very good understanding of, you know, more information on what's needed,
That's right.
you know.
But it sounds like you have a good idea, so
I
maybe
have a
just
very good
getting in a,
idea.
Yeah,
get it
yeah,
in a.
and you
But I
already
wanna
went
know,
out.
is there a software? Is there not a
Yeah,
software?
exactly.
Is there,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah,
but
Well,
even if
we
you don't
can
get it
find
by the
out-
next meeting, it's
Yeah, do
okay,
they
I think just
train
having
us?
some.
Yeah, is there
If
training?
we
Do they
can find
come
out,
in?
like, where is the town where they're doing this and what did they go
That's a good
through?
question.
Yeah,
And I'm
exactly,
thinking of,
yeah.
you know, like, we've been wanting to get more contact with the Commission on Disabilities. Wouldn't that be fabulous,
Yeah.
asking them? Because a lot of people say, well, oh gee, this poor blind person, I need to do this or that, you know, have no
No, it's a great
no
idea. I know, I wonder-
understanding, and that might be something that would,
Yeah.
would really appeal to them.
Oh,
And then,
definitely, imagine, yeah.
We have great ties to, you know, our state representatives too, so maybe there is some.
Yeah.
Path to like broadening the.
Yeah.
To see, you know, if we narrow down that there's something in Massachusetts that's doing this, you know, that might be a good path
But
to
he said he
take.
looked and there wasn't, you didn't see
Yeah,
any
well,
town.
I mean, I
New
didn't,
England, I mean, it
I
could be
didn't-
anywhere,
yeah, yeah.
just a sample
I
town,
didn't-
30,000 people.
search deep and nobody mentioned to me
Yeah.
anyone near here doing it.
Right,
It might-
exactly.
So there
It might
could be
a question
easily
to ask
another
someone
one
to
in
speak to
Boston.
them next week.
Yeah.
There could easily be one in
Yeah.
Boston.
Or
yeah.
it
I
doesn't
would be
matter, as long
surprised
as
if
it's
this wasn't in Boston.
somewhat.
Somewhere that you can just
Somewhere.
talk
Or on
about.
a college
Yeah.
campus.
Yeah, yeah.
I will say a lot of local libraries have a similar program, so.
Oh, really?
Okay, all right, yeah.
Do you know of some, like in
I don't know
Wayland?
any in the area. Our
Yeah.
library does not,
This is
but
fun.
Yeah.
I've been in interviews with folks from other libraries.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome.
Around
They
this
Yeah.
area?
appreciate it, yeah.
Yeah,
I wonder if
That's-
this is
yeah.
connected, I see it at my alma
And,
mater.
and the
actually,
Needham
Latin
Community
school.
Council is
Yeah.
another place where,
Needham Community.
There's-
okay.
Yeah, I see it.
so
Latin
it
school,
isn't
I'm
just
talking
the
about it.
tutoring program, but in general, they have so many volunteers who are from a lot of different
Yeah,
backgrounds.
Yeah, just to mention too, Greg, I see at my alma mater is Latin school, and it looks like they may have one there, or at least they have people discussing one there.
yeah,
The Boston
Yeah.
Latin?
Boston.
Yeah, so Keith Library, organized by Amy Coe and Wendy Lee, hosting its first ever human library.
And where is that?
So Boston,
Boston.
Yeah.
Latin.
yeah, Boston.
Oh,
Does
Latin.
it
that's
say
about the
when they're
name.
hosting it?
So,
Does it give a date?
let's see, so it's,
I,
Cause it'll be
So
interesting to see how
Keith
you start.
Libraries.
I
Oh,
know,
that's, yeah, it
I
would be so
know, well, you-
interesting just to talk to them, so
Probably
that way we
everybody
know.
knows kids who are there,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, but maybe we'll poke around. That seems like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe they've gone down this route. But I think it's a great idea, and obviously, you can tell by just the response you're getting in the room that
that's
we
exciting.
should keep
Yeah, it's
moving
cool.
down the
Oh,
track
definitely.
with it,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
Okay.
awesome.
I feel like
And
it's
then when you
really,
get to a point where you need another set of hands, it sounds like you have at least one volunteer right now, which is
That's
nice. Excellent,
okay,
Yeah,
that'd
that's
be
great.
great, yeah. I feel like it could be really fun, it could be, you know, get
Yeah.
a,
Definitely.
that's great.
yeah, could be
Awesome.
a good thing for.
Yeah, so
them
even
and-
just another, and you know,
I
any
can
kind of
think-
snapshot, any kind of update, just keep us informed, Greg, and when
But I
there's
can
something
think
for us
of
to do,
people,
we'll
definitely
do it.
individual people, like Michael O'Neill, he loves to talk to people,
Yeah,
and he's on the library, friends, what's it called, the trustees.
Yeah.
Library.
Renaz,
That's great.
also Renaz would be amazing.
Renaz.
She would be amazing.
Have to catch.
I
a
know, yeah,
bus.
no, we have
Mother
so many
herself before she leaves.
Wonderful people in the
leaving?
town.
Yeah,
Where's she going?
New York City,
Oh.
I can tell you more, because
Okay.
we,
Yeah,
After me.
yeah, that's great. Thank you for the update, Greg. I'm excited to
course.
hear more about
Yeah,
it. I think that's
cool,
awesome. All right, so I'm gonna go to the,
Whole business.
yeah, the old business, which is the discrimination complaint form / QR code.
Yeah.
And Till and I went back and forth a little bit to try to find, if we could find the latest version of it, and
Tina sent it.
I don't think I received it.
Tina sent you the latest,
Did you?
yeah,
Am I just terrible at searching my
She sent
email?
it,
Have I
um,
lost control of my email?
I think I still. She sent it to, well, I got it from her.
so then you could
I-
resend it to,
Yeah, I can resend it.
Yeah, please do, because I think the last Carrie and I spoke, we were ready to add a QR code and kind of take it to whatever the next level to make sure that it was, you know, out there and available, and easy
Yeah.
for people to get to. But we were missing that piece.
Okay, so she sent it on April sixth. It's the, okay. See if this will do it. I'll send it to you now.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm just,
But I'm happy to,
oh, you know what? It looks like she only sent it to 2 people.
the others on your subgroup,
I don't,
Like
no, because our
Tina.
subgroup was just,
Tina and Gemma.
no, it's,
I see it
who else
now.
I sent it to.
So this is great. Okay, all right.
Okay, so I just sent it to you.
Yeah, I just received it. This is
Okay,
perfect. Okay.
Okay, so that's what you needed. I
That's
thought,
it.
I didn't realize.
No. I mean, I had some old version that had bounced around a little bit, but this is good to have
Okay,
a more up-to-date one, and I think we should definitely, so I'm gonna take it
I
on
need
my,
to
yeah, I'm gonna take it as my sub to,
do that.
yeah, to add whatever logo we have and the QR code. I'll work with Carrie and Taylor, and we'll try to find a home for it online somewhere, or however we wanna
Great.
present it. And I think we've voted on it about half dozen times,
Yes.
so I don't think we
I
need
don't think we
to,
need a vote on
yeah, we don't need a
So
vote.
it just needed the
so-
final. one.
Yep.
So can I, because this is also old business, if you remember the last meeting, I said someone who was in the NRN group, when after she heard me present about human rights, she said she wanted to talk to me. Do you remember? Am I telling you guys this at the last meeting?
Say a little more,
So she-
short-term memories overshot.
So anyway, so after, you know, I presented about the committee and 2 people came up to me. One, the woman from the Disabilities Commission who said she didn't know that someone from there was supposed to be on the committee and she was gonna try to, and she wasn't at the last meeting, so I didn't get to ask her if she found anybody. Well, you have somebody, so maybe that's who it is. And then this woman who reached out to me and it turns out, and I talked to her for a very long time on the phone, she was having an issue with a neighbor. And she felt that, it sounded to me just like neighbor to neighbor dispute. I really couldn't hear any discrimination. She said, well, I think it's because I'm a woman.
Oh.
So I said, well, you know, the neighbor wanted her, she's under construction
Yeah.
and it got delayed and the neighbor wanted her to clean up the yard.
Right.
So it didn't sound to me like it was because she was a woman.
Right,
And so I said to her, you know, do you really think, and so we went back and forth and she agreed with me, it was more of just a neighbor to neighbor,
Right.
and she was really frustrated.
Yeah.
And I,
She feel good, at least having
well, I
spoken to you.
think having spoken to me might have been helpful,
Yeah.
but I know I brought it up here. Anyway, I just
Yeah.
wanted to circle back and
well,
I
thank
forgot.
you, yeah, and it's nice.
So
that
it
you're-
wasn't it was just a neighbor to
Yeah.
neighbor thing.
Well, it's nice that she felt comfortable enough to speak to you
Yeah,
about
well,
it.
she's very upset about
Yeah.
what's going on.
When those neighbor disputes get into things that are a little on the edge of what's legal, the police get involved. 'cause a
She
lot of-
had called the police.
Yeah.
She'd already had called the police, you know,
But
She
She
should
was-
call the building
because,
department.
but if they're not violating any town.
she's allowed,
bylaw,
she even quoted, she knew she could do
Oh.
what she needed to do. The neighbor didn't like seeing the
Right,
construction that was on her property, wasn't on his property, was on her
Yeah.
property.
there's
And
not-
there were delays with the construction and
Right.
so it was longer and,
Typical, yeah.
you know, it's just, so to me, it very much just
it
sounded,
sounds like you
So she
were a good
vented.
ear for listening, which is nice,
Yeah.
you know?
so I
think
just
that's
thought
a
I should
good-
report that.
Send a bill.
Yeah.
No, but I said, you know, there's really, does
Yeah.
not sound, I said, you're welcome to fill out a formal complaint
Right,
if you feel that
Yeah.
that you were discriminated against in a way that we could follow up with. I said, but it doesn't sound like it to me.
yeah,
And she said, yeah, I guess you're right.
yeah, but that was
So-
nice that you were
Well,
there,
I
I think
off-
that's
and I
always.
offered it because I didn't want her to, I said, we could bring it to the committee.
That's
and see
right,
what they
exactly.
think. I didn't say,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, you shouldn't do that because.
no, I didn't
Yeah.
say
Right, right,
unilaterally,
right.
it's absolutely
Right.
not. I just said, you know, where does this
Yeah, you
fall
were
in?
talking it out. a
I
little
talked
bit,
it out with her
yeah.
and, she was just very frustrated.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's,
Yeah.
yeah, that's nice that you were, yeah.
but I
yeah.
can imagine her neighbors just as frustrated.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't remember you bringing it up.
But everybody complains when the house gets torn down.
Yeah.
All the neighbors complain, oh, it's gonna, you know, and then when their real estate values go up.
Right.
Wow, look what it did to
You
my.
know, it's just
Yeah, and when your
unbelievable.
taxes go up,
I had somebody complain to me on my street because the house was getting torn down.
our house is.
And I
What?
understood her, I listened to her a lot.
Yeah.
And she needed just to vent.
Right.
And now I haven't heard crickets because the house looks beautiful next
Right.
door. And it's increased the value.
yeah,
Her
my
property.
dad is a semi-retired, because you keep finding things you have to do, general contractor. And so I know, but that building process, at some point it looked completely awful, and you're like, what are we doing? How could this look good at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's part of the thing, I
And
think.
sometimes the construction site looks terrible.
Yeah, yeah,
It does,
exactly.
that's
You
how-
know,
Yeah, though I
mean,
think there are probably
you're-
some regulations to,
Right, and they
Things
do
on
have
your
to
own
pick
house.
up. They
In
do.
your own house with
Right.
those things.
well, that's good that you,
So I just wanted to.
yeah, thank you for the
Follow up on
update,
that.
and
I thought for sure I mentioned that.
no, it sounds familiar. I think,
Okay.
yeah, I think you did bring it up. Okay, that's great, thank you. So,
You provided therapy. Mark.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know.
It's part of mental health, I mean, really,
did-
you know,
did give some
listening
mental
ears
health.
could
A
really
listening
be.
ear, yes.
A listening ear is.
Yeah.
We'll have that at the
definitely-
Great.
library thing. Borrow a listening ear.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
seriously.
yeah, so now we have police update, we don't have any updates. in
Lieutenant
there.
Carroll said there's no updates
Okay.
on tonight.
And school updates,
No.
nothing big in the school, okay, that's nice.
And I asked Taylor a question about you sent us a copy of something from the chief of police and said not to spread, to
Not to-
share it around.
not
And
to
I asked
circulate.
you, under what circumstances can people see that?
Oh,
And you
sorry, I
didn't reply.
missed.
I asked you
my-
twice,
I'm
sorry,
so sorry.
but I thought the third time would not be nice.
Oh, no, please, please,
We all
if
get
I'm not
lots, we all
responding
get lots
to
of
you,
emails.
yeah,
Yeah.
please let me know. I will try to find that and respond to you as soon as I can.
Okay, I
Yeah.
can resend that, because specifically, the Immigration Justice Task Force likes to keep track of things, and the way things are happening now, that those red cards are nice, but I don't think that some of the agents took that course that they know about. It says on the red card, you aren't supposed to batter down somebody's house if you don't, you know, but
Wow.
it's happening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those cards have what you say, and it just seems like the lawlessness is such, at any rate, so it's really important to know if something like that were unfolding in Needham, what people could do. And all the houses of worship people are interested too, and some of them have had conversations directly with the chief about what things to
Response.
post in their buildings. So forth.
Yeah.
So that's why
Absolutely.
that particular statement would be helpful.
To
But-
share.
But when you said that we couldn't, then
Yeah, it's not for like public, an official statement.
It's
from
not
the
like posting on
police.
Facebook,
Correct,
but
yeah.
sharing it with another organization in town.
well, you probably have to find out from the
That
police.
Yeah,
sounds
I'll
like-
confirm with
yeah,
Chief
right.
Schlittler. I'll find that email and confirm with
Yeah,
him
Yeah,
as
I
soon
can
as I
research
can,
it
yeah,
too.
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's great.
But the town has been so busy.
Yeah, I know, I was gonna ask for a town update, but I.
Yeah, why don't we?
Like 50 town update, I don't know, what's the top one? Is there a top one
Do you have an
besides,
update
we
for
already
us?
know the top one, I think, right? What's the top two?
Yes, there's a lot going on in
Yeah.
the town right now.
What's sticking out to you, Taylor?
We
That's what I'm saying.
have a town meeting coming up.
Yes,
So that's
town
quite
meeting.
exciting. And as it relates to the committee, I've been working with the Office of the Town Manager and the Town Clerk's Office regarding your 12th member of your committee. Because to my knowledge, they have not been coming to meetings
Right.
and I'm confirming whether they were sworn in.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we can move forward in having another opening on your
Great.
visit, on your committee.
Yeah.
But I'm just
You wanna make sure
waiting
you're-
for
Process.
next steps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you
the
can't offer
process, yeah.
something that isn't there.
It's the
right?
process,
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm working with the town clerk's office on that one, hope to have more information
Yeah.
for you soon, it has been a few months in
No,
the,
well,
in the
that's
making here,
information,
but,
so that's good.
I did also receive interest from a member of the Commission on Disabilities who would like to join the committee. So I was gonna get back to her and say, we're trying to figure things
Yeah.
out with the town
Well,
clerks right now. Of course you should come,
Yeah.
the more the
You should
merrier.
invite her to attend, because we want people,
Yeah,
To know
we,
how we
we wanted to
function.
see what we are before they,
I
See
absolutely
what
will,
they're getting
yes.
or once
into.
they apply,
yeah,
to see, because sometimes it's not a good match.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
Taylor, I'm not
so-
sure if you, bid in, feel free to send, if there's an intro to Carrie and I, and, yeah, we can
Yes.
invite personally to a
But
meeting.
that's so great, somebody from the disabilities.
Yay,
committee.
that's
yay,
fantastic.
That's
Marlene.
great.
Yeah, I thought that would be good news.
Awesome, that's great, thank you for the follow-up.
Yeah.
That's great.
So
Very
how about the
helpful.
town in terms of being able to go forward with things that are the town mission and all, including things like DEI?
We've not received any directive that we need to halt any of our plans, our programming, or our goals at
That's
all.
good.
And the school system, as far as you know,
I have no
because
control
they're
over
part
the
of the
school
town.
system.
Well, why don't we just reach out to the superintendent? and
Yeah,
ask-
well, I was thinking
ask
to,
the question or invite him
Well, I'm
to
curious
come to a meeting.
Yeah, because they're doing things in other,
yeah,
like in Maine and, other.
This is a side, my son works at Babson, he just started working there.
Mhm.
And he's been in training, and today he said to me, Mom, the chief of police at Babson
Mm.
is, they're having a meeting about, because there's a lot of foreign
Sure.
international students.
Yeah.
Right, right.
What they're gonna do and how, because he's a community service officer.
And if someone comes
Safety
on
officer.
campus. right.
So how he has to react if he gets because he's a dispatcher, what's the protocol, how they handle it. So I'm really curious after he goes through this
Yeah.
training to find
Oh,
out
to
what
see
they're
what they
doing
do.
at Babson.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I know it's Wellesley, but it's,
no,
Well,
it's right
you know,
next
it's
door,
right
right,
here.
exactly.
and
Right.
Olin is part of Babson.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
Well, it's a separate,
right,
but it's
They're
nearby
joined.
and we're,
right.
right, but that
And-
police department
Does
Oh,
both
does
campuses.
covers,
Both
does
covers
Right.
both. And so
Wow.
he's patrol, is in.
so he said both of them. want-
Yeah, he's a community safety officer and dispatch, so it's just like an entry level.
That's
sort of-
Sounds great.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd
so-
love to hear.
but I just think it was fascinating that he
Yeah.
brought that up today.
Well, and did you guys see, if you get from the Mass Human Rights Committee,
Yeah.
that BU came out with a statement? I don't know. if
I
you
haven't
saw
seen
Was
it
it
yet, but I
BU?
saw
I
or
it.
did
BC?
see the BU
Oh, BU,
statement.
right,
BU came out with a statement,
Yeah.
so.
because wasn't UMass and something? too?
And Harvard
Well,
Yeah.
Harvard is
Harvard,
everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah,
Really doing it. Just awesome.
but I mean, and Olin is in Needham.
They're gonna lose those 501(c)(3)s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Right.
that it's illegal for them to do that, but so are all the other.
Everything else is
But they
illegal,
have to
but
laugh at
nobody,
that.
nobody can enforce
Yeah.
anything that's found to be
I
illegal.
keep getting so upset with my husband, because he used to say to me, oh, this is it, he's gonna get in trouble this time. He's gonna-"
No, he
I'm like,
doesn't
it's
get in trouble.
Teflon Don, he
Teflon,
doesn't get in
Teflon.
trouble. Teflon Don.
Yeah.
So I have one thing that I'm
Sure.
sure everybody knows, but so it's sort of under the town update, which was exciting to know that Katie is going to be the town manager.
Yes,
So that
exactly.
was, and I,
Former HRC.
yeah,
right,
yeah, so I think,
She's
I
our
thought that was really
liaison.
great, and, you know,
Yeah, she's wonderful.
I wondered,
Town is
she's
lucky to
always
have her.
been the heir apparent.
Yeah.
You know, that when she was recruited and then she became deputy,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so
it's
that was,
excellent.
yeah, she's
Very
great,
happy for
she's
her.
great, and I also think it's good for us, because she knows us.
Yeah.
Right.
And she, I think,
Gets us.
yeah, she gets us, exactly.
This is good. We get this out before the contract negotiation meeting. Yes, she is fantastic. You're right. Whatever they're paying her is
Anyway,
not
I
enough.
mean, I think there were probably the 3 candidates from what
Yeah,
I
they had
read,
really
all
good-
sounded great.
Yeah,
But
Kara
I was
Slustig, too,
very
from-
happy for
Yeah,
her.
I
Yes,
watched, I
DPW is
watched the whole
fantastic.
thing. I
Oh,
don't
you
know
did,
how-
you watched the
Yeah.
interview? The-
Yes, with all three of them.
Good
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, they had a lot of
Wow.
good candidates.
It
and
was,
two
it was
in-house
very, it was
for
very
excellent,
well
so,
done, and,
Yeah,
you know, Carrie Lustig,
Kara Slustig.
it's
Yeah,
very good.
yeah, she's
And the
fantastic.
guy from the outside looked like he was a good person, but then everybody had their way of sorting them, and mine was
Yeah.
about the knowledge of this town.
Historical knowledge.
And
Yeah.
having already demonstrated
Yeah,
ability. And there was one person on the select board who thought it was good to have a new person come in, and that's a point of view.
Yeah, that
but
is a point of view.
Not my point of view,
Yeah.
but.
yeah. Well, I feel like we're in good hands, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I
Especially
think so good.
during-
I mean,
So much work.
there's
During training
contract
day.
negotiations, but I think it's a done deal.
Oh, no, yeah,
It's not a.
yeah, no, I think. it's
Well,
gonna
the
be
select
fine,
board approved,
Yeah, they
Yeah.
approved, so
Yeah,
that's it,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
you know?
you know.
Yeah.
They going in.
Right.
Do I know if the contract has been signed?
think
I
it's-
do not know.
Yeah, no, I think they,
Oh, I
don't
mean,
know if
of
they had a
course, they
meeting yet.
could come up with a contract that you didn't want. to
No,
sign,
no,
that's
no.
true.
No,
I think it'll
I
be
doubt
fine.
it.
I doubt it.
And I hadn't realized about all the experience she had.
Prior,
before she
came here, me too.
Working with the town of the city of Boston and all those intergovernmental things.
I just wanted to add one thing too. So, I spoke with, Bob Van Meter, who the name may be familiar.
Yeah, it is
He's-
familiar.
Yeah, he's a nonprofit, leader, 25 years experience in affordable housing, economic justice.
Oh,
Community
Oh,
development, and so I invited Bob, who really kind of dropped everything to attend the meeting tonight, but I wanted to make sure that we had enough time for him to present, and so I invited him to the May 15th meeting, and so he's gonna come and give us a little history of housing discrimination,
Great.
racial wealth and opportunity gap zoning practices. Yeah, so I think he'll be great. I mean,
you record these though, right?
Yes.
You
Yeah.
record the meeting so I can watch it after,
Absolutely.
if
Yeah,
I can
but
find it.
oh, yeah.
They're
sorry,
on
Mark, you're not
YouTube.
You'll help me.
Yes.
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, you just email
We
me, I'll send you the link.
supported The housing group that did a whole program on history of discrimination.
That's
in
right.
housing.
Yes, yeah, so
And so
this
he has
is
something different to say.
very much in line with that, but we thought, you know,
Was this somebody who
housing is
maybe,
always going to be,
because remember Tina really wanted us to do a program on housing.
yeah,
Um,
Yeah, so I'm
this would
just,
be part
but
of,
not to be veggie or
Yeah.
something, but, you know, so why are we having him come?
well, I
to
think,
us?
I think the idea is, I mean, at first my idea was to try to get him in before Maytown meeting, but because
Oh, as a program,
well, because the MBTA compliance, we still have to vote the base plan
Yeah.
in town meeting, so fingers crossed for that. But I think where I landed on it was that there's still a lot more work to be done, even if we do get the base plan in. And so I wanna make sure that we keep that in the conversation, you know, because we all know housing is a human right, and so I think, you know, having someone like him, you know, offer his you know, wealth of knowledge to us.
Oh, I
It's
thought
good.
that you wanted to bring him because he's a potential speaker for, the programming that Tina wanted to do, remember?
Well, I think we were
That's
talking about
another-
the same thing, yeah. I think
Except
it
we
was-
did want to do it before town meeting.
That's right, yes,
But it's-
exactly, yeah,
It's too late.
Time is.
yeah, but I think it's still beneficial to keep the conversation
Yeah.
of housing
Oh, definitely.
and, you know,
But I'm wondering if the conversation is more about what kind of action or programs we're gonna do, not trying to educate us more about things that we've had a lot of programs on.
yeah.
But
I'm just asking.
I thought maybe different audience, right, because I know that Bob has spoken, I think, in Needham in the past, but I think it's been a while. And so I thought, why not bring him to the committee and
And
let him tell
also, I
us?
think we have a couple of chairs, to be very candid, and if they have someone they like to bring to a meeting, that
Yeah,
you
I
don't need
thought it
our
was,
approval.
yeah, well, I thought it was an interesting, I mean,
I think
that,
it's
you know,
Yeah,
yeah, so I thought a
And
little
how
brief.
long would he be?
So we're still working it out, but not too long, you know, we'll make sure that we manage the time accordingly.
Because it always seems like we have so much.
No, yeah, we won't, we'll try to, you know, stay on a.
Yeah, so we can still have a
reasonable
business
schedule.
meeting
Exactly.
and have a presentation.
That's right.
Or do you want to start it early?
Well, that was, I
Like at
didn't have
7?
anything on agenda,
At
but
seven.
maybe
seven.
maybe
Have
we'll
it at
talk about
7
that.
o'clock so that there's ample time. for-
Exactly.
Yeah, have
That's
them from
a
7 to
reasonable
7
idea,
or-
Cynthia. Yeah,
We've done that before.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's-
I think that's a
Without
good
the
idea.
speakers, and you just go right into that and they
Yeah.
don't have to sort of wonder.
no, yeah, exactly. I mean, whatever, you know, we'll definitely have him go
Good.
first at the meeting.
Or we have you run the meeting and get us that 10 minutes.
Yeah,
earlier than
exactly.
We
Yeah,
normally.
right
do.
on time. Yeah, that's right.
There you go.
Yeah, but anyways, I thought, like I said, he was very nice about dropping everything to try to be here tonight, but
Sounds like.
I
a
didn't know
good
if there was
friend.
enough time. Yeah, he was very kind and, I mean, he knows a lot about housing and about what Massachusetts and so much of the
So
country's going
as
through.
as long
so.
as we also have some time with, okay, how does that help us figure out which way we're moving?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, I mean, I guess it's part of selfishly for me, because I feel like I can get an audience with someone who has been doing this work for many years.
Mhm.
And if we can bring it into the Needham Human Rights fold, it'll be a good learning experience, I think.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
yeah.
Okay, that helps. Yeah, you got it.
I can't believe how many people are against it. It blows my mind, but I guess
More work to be done.
And
it's
they-
unbelievable.
Yeah.
and they've decided those people out there are keeping knowledge from people and so forth in other areas.
Yeah.
And that's-
I think this is something that, you know, just like we're talking about with mental health, it's something that really needs to be built into the work that the human rights, I think, that the work that the Human Rights Committee does. And I
Yeah.
think,
So that
It's
can help
important.
us move forward.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, educate and make teachers out of all of us. I think that's the idea.
Right.
Okay.
Idea.
Okay. And I had this announcement. I
Oh,
think I-
sure. Yeah, go right ahead, Cynthia. Was it? Did I miss one?
Needham Diversity Initiative, every second Saturday is having a solidarity gathering. This
Oh,
was the
yeah,
one
that's right.
Right.
that was last Saturday.
The weather was horrible.
The weather was horrible.
Still a
and there
good
were
turnout.
25 of us there.
Amazing.
That's
And-
great.
If anybody has.
And there's another thing, I forget the date, that is happening on Boston Common.
Yeah,
This
there's
is just
another
the-
one.
Yeah.
This is just a local Needham. There's lots of things
Yeah, but
going
this one
on.
is
know.
not really the same as the one that in Boston.
Yeah.
This is a
This is
different
not a, people
It's a
have
great
very
turnout.
strong feelings about political action, but this is statements about being inclusive.
one. I was gonna go, but I was so busy cooking for Passover.
Nice turnout. Yes, I remember the holidays, still in the middle of the holidays.
Everything.
And I found
Hosted,
Kevin
so-
Key was there.
Not every, I mean,
My
not,
husband brings his rainbow
One of my
flag that
daughters
says
thinks it's
peace, that must be from the
Some- I
sixties
need
or
one.
something.
It's great, Cynthia.
Seventies.
a lot of work.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. I go to somebody's house, so I go to Jane's,
I love it.
Jane Blavel's.
Oh, you go
Alright.
to James? Oh,
Yes.
it
Yeah,
is so
I'm gonna
much.
get
I
us
just-
out.
I
we
made,
just
I
went to
made a
Matzo
great
Balls.
chocolate truffle.
Oh,
It's a good way to
with
do it.
raspberry
People
sauce.
bring-
Yeah.
Now that you're getting now I feel like it's dessert time. So,
Yeah.
look,
So
7 minutes
moved.
early.
oh,
Yeah,
I move that we,
Second.
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 All those in favor?
Hi.
good meeting.
Thank
Good
you.
meeting. Well
Great
done.
job.
Success.
See, now you can do all the rest of it.
Yeah, that's right.
There- there it was.